Have you ever done this with a mage and a wallet before reading?
Nope.
Funny.
Pull this entire room, please.
You going mage log demon on us?
Oh, he's a tank.
Ah, fair enough.
What the fuck? Oh my god!
Holla ballers, what's going on? It's Preacher. A couple of things I wanted to get out with this video. One, people really wanted to see my group do Karazhan because I was talking about how quickly we blow this place up. And also because I believe it's kind of relevant to the discussion that we generated last week, which was the sense of satisfaction and change that you notice with your character as your character grows. And Karazhan's one of the better examples of that actually going on, because Karazhan doesn't change in difficulty yet. It's going to change in difficulty soon, but as it stands, it remains the same difficulty it was when it launched. Obviously, since then, there's been significant changes to character progression, which means that's reflected, particularly when running with mains. Alts isn't something I particularly like to run with in these kind of places, mainly because I don't really enjoy it that much when it takes much longer than what I'm used to. So, as you know, this isn't actually our primary group. As I mentioned, I love this pull, by the way, because the Bantz trinket lines up. This is the trinket from Croesus, and you fire it off there, and it goes... So cool when it actually detonates like that. But as you'll know from the intro, our tank, this is the first time our tank ever came here with us. Our usual tank's actually a prop paladin, so this is nowhere as fast as we usually do this dungeon. Prop paladins do way more damage, but he had exams, I believe. So we had to, we picked up our DPS Demon Hunter, who actually went to tank for us. We're also carrying an alt healer. No complaints from me if we're going to bring an alt healer, honestly. I'm not going to be too bothered about that. It's not the case that I don't like boosting my friends' alts. But when it comes to late night, which is when we do this is why I can't stream this. This is usually done after the raids. I want it to be done pretty quickly as a weekly thing, because people still get upgrades from here. This is one of the reasons it's quite nice to come here. We're actually going to do Maiden now. Our alt healer did ask if we could do Maiden. Typically we skip Maiden because obviously there isn't many upgrades to be had and it doesn't contribute towards the Nightbane timer. So usually we try and avoid this as much as possible. But he needed some loot and obviously he's a good friend, so yeah, no problem, we'll do it along the way. It doesn't really cost us much time at all. But yeah, so this is why I like doing this with mains particularly. It's a really nice, relaxing way to finish off a raid night, particularly if you've been wiping all night like we did on Starbro. We've killed it now. But moving on to Elisand, it's still a nice way to finish up. And plus, again, there is even capability of me getting upgrades in here. Getting a particularly great Ethereal Urn would still be an upgrade. I love this pull coming up, although this part's kind of funny, is we didn't have enough interrupts. Typically, when you run with a Paladin tank, you don't really interrupt too much. So you end up chilling here and just AoEing everything down without issue. But this ended up mind controlling our Warlock and then killing it. But I do love this pull. We pull the whole room on top of Morose and then just blow it up. It wasn't an ideal pull by me by any means. I got aggro, which meant some mobs lasted a little bit longer than ideally they would. Kind of fucked up my DPS playstyle there. But we do tend to blow up the whole room on top of Morose, which is still fun nonetheless. Nothing you could have done in the first week unless you absolutely had tested the shit out of this place. The cool thing here is this isn't a show-off. I don't want people to walk away thinking this is a show-off of like, lol, look how cool my mage is. It's more a case of, in the first weeks, even though, yes, we did overgear it in the very first week, it still took us a while to get through here. The Nightbane timer was still something we had to race for and push for in order to get the appropriate timers. But what you see is this steady progression week on week of your character's growth, and I really like that. I truly, truly enjoy that. I think it's a nice part of the game, is that content that's still relevant, which is the whole point I was making in the raid video. When it's still relevant content, yet you feel this enormous sense of satisfaction as you're now starting to do cool stuff, absolutely cool stuff, that you couldn't possibly have done in the first weeks, or you had no concept that you could possibly do in the first weeks, which is why I really enjoy it. This part of the run is the worst. Everybody who does Karazhan probably knows this. Typically from TBC, this was still the worst, is the way up to Curator. Ordinarily, we're working with a new tank here. Not that he did a bad job by any means, he did absolutely fine. But typically, what you'll see here is the use of everything that I put in my guides, which is all the tips and tricks to making runs go faster, particularly in the tanking one, is looking for these opportunities to create death balls and pauses. Because, yeah, you can survive by pulling literally everything constantly. And once you play with the same group of people over and over again, you'll get a feel and a knowledge for where exactly your tank or your healer needs you to. Either for the tank to say, okay, this is the point where we're going to AoE safely, or this is the point where our healer needs to catch up because he's a bit slower than I am, etc., etc. A little addition to the run here, we're going to do attunement. And the only reason we do this is it's equally as... It's actually, like, the RP for Nightbane is so long that it's worth us going to kill a Tumen and come back because the RP still won't be finished. Bit of a fuck up here, though, because our Warlock was dead when we pulled, so this is going to be a longer attunement pull than necessary. I kind of hope Blizzard had this in mind, what we just did here, which is if you pull attunement, all the trash comes to the room. Sure, many of you know that by now. But I kind of hope they had in mind that people would like to do some sort of silly AoE here, although I didn't get in the proper range. You see when I actually pulled attunement, I moved to a certain spot. With a typical tank, that means I can use my Croesus trinket there, but unfortunately, a slight movement, becomes part of playing with the same people every now and again, is a slight movement I couldn't do that, so I had to jump out of my rune, jump back in, which led to just an overall, not super long extra kill, but you can see the RP just finishes as we get to Nightbane. So this is the kind of thing I really like to see, or like to do, particularly when playing with mains, is this kind of content. It's really fun, it's really relaxing, and week on week you tend to be able to improve it in some way. We are at the point now where, like I say, our healer's not here, our tank didn't really want to come, he had exams, and it's no slate against him. But there's less and less reason for a lot of people to come here. And we try and get everybody the loot, but we're after really cool Titanforge stuff, which can drop in here, which still makes it a lot of fun. And of course, those juicy Legos. So there you go, we rocked up to Nightbane. I skipped the beginning bit from the doorway, because it's just running down AoEing, and there's a lot of AoE in about 19 minutes, which is really cool. So I hope you enjoyed watching that. Thank you very much for listening, and bye-bye. I hope that gave some context to the stuff I was talking about last week. Bye-bye.